Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm speaking really quietly because I'm outside. Believe it or not, it is like gone 9 o'clock in the evening and it is light that I can still film outside. Today we are going to be talking about 5 books that I want to read this summer and also 5 books that I would like you guys to read for the summer, tried and tested by yours truly. So without further ado, let's start with the 5 books that I would love to read this summer. So the first book that I've got is actually on my Kindle and it's my book club's book for the month, and it is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually already about a third of the way into it and I'm really enjoying it, but we just wanted something in a book club that was going to be nice and easy and romantic and also just perfect for the summer, i.e. the backdrop of it. So it deals with our female main character who is currently going through the loss of her sister. This is not a spoiler because it's literally within the first few pages, but she is obviously trying to deal with the grief of that, but also she's having to attend her cousin's wedding, and at this wedding they do this big family game of assassin. So I feel like this is going to be lighthearted but also very emotionally charged at the same time. I feel like that's the perfect type of summer reading for me because I love a bit of romance. I love when there's like a summery backdrop, but also I love when there's a little bit of emotional depth to it, and I feel like this will really come through. Okay, next up we have Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth. This is an Irish fiction. This is, oh, there's a little cat that's coming to say hello. Come here. You okay? Hello. This my neighbor's cat. They're so sweet. This is a contemporary fiction, dare I say, not historical fiction, but it's like era specific. It's based in the 1990s. We follow our female main character who is a 15-year-old growing up in a very conservative Irish town. She is almost expected just to kind of marry, do what good girls do at the age of 15, but she's going through not only the coming of age but also trying to come to terms with the fact that she is expected to kind of fall in love with a nice young man, but actually she's catching feelings for a female friend of hers. So not only are we dealing with the coming of age story, we're also dealing with a queer romance of somebody who is 15 and trying to figure out what they are feeling like, really, and just kind of going through it. So I love a coming of age story, especially when there's kind of more of an emotional depth to it, and I feel like Sunburn is really, again, going to come through with it. So for book 3 we have Andre Aciman's The Gentleman from Peru. This is the same author as Call Me By Your Name, the famous Timothée Chalamet book to movie adaptation. This is a little itty bitty one and I feel like this would be perfect just to kind of take to the beach, just kind of keep in my bag. I love bringing like a book around with me, so this is the perfect size. But we are basically following a group of young adults who go to the Amalfi Coast in Italy for just like a summer trip, and whilst they're there they stumble across this very intriguing older gentleman who then invites them for like coffee or something like that on his terrace or in his home, and he kind of just imparts with them some stories, etc. And basically that's the premise of this book. It doesn't really tell you anything else, but I'm very intrigued and I just want like a nice little fiction just to get me through, and so very much looking forward to it. Next we have One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. Now I, if I'm not mistaken, feel like this is very similar to the way that Ashley Poston's books are, whereby it's like a traditional genre mixed with a little bit of magical realism. We follow our female main character who is currently grieving the loss of her mother, so she takes herself away to Italy, to Positano, which is a place where her mum had dreamt of going, and when she's there she meets the younger version of her mum. So it's giving, instead of like romance, magical realism like Ashley Poston's books are, it's giving kind of like an emotional but magical realism twist kind of read, and I'm here for it because I have never read anything like that. Again, apart from Ashley Poston's books, I've never read anything like it, so because I love those, I feel like I'm going to love this one too. And then last but not least, we have Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This is, I don't actually know, first of all, if this is a trilogy or like if it's like interconnected standalones. I don't know, but this is her second book. I read Every Summer After, wasn't that great of a fan of it. I gave it a 3 stars because it was still enjoyable, but just like nothing crazy. So we're following our female main character who spend like 24 hours together years ago and then part ways from there, and then they find themselves about 9 or 10 years later kind of falling back into each other's lives. And then we just, I guess, follow them through this one day whereby they just make this instant connection that lasts them over the next decade, where they don't see each other, and then how they kind of fall back into each other's lives when they're kind of, I think he arrives at a time where she needs him the most. And so it'll be really interesting to see what happened in that 24 hours for them to really like have this like latch onto each other. The perfect title, cover, everything. And you can't beat a good romance. Honestly, you can't beat a good romance when it comes to summertime. So this is going to be one of my romance reads, I feel like, for the summer. So as I was just saying about Meet Me at the Lake, that is such an anticipated read for me because I love a romance in the summer. I mean, I love a romance throughout the whole year, but summer I feel like is perfect for it. So that leads me on quite nicely to the 5 books that I'm going to be recommending you guys. So let's get into it. First up, we have Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. Now, let me tell you that this was honestly an easy 4.5 stars for me. It wasn't quite the 5-star rating that I wanted, but easily one of like my favorite romances that I've read in the last few years. This I didn't realize was actually part of a series, but you don't really need to read the others because I didn't. And this, I believe, is more like an interconnected standalone. But we follow our main characters, Justin and Emma. So Justin feels like he has this curse where every girl that he dates goes on to date the person they're going to marry like after he breaks up with them. So I'm pretty sure there's a movie about that. I can't remember what it's called, but that's what he feels like he's about. Whereas she isn't one to plant roots. She loves traveling around. Her job is to travel around, and they basically find each other in this small town. Of course it was in a small town. What I really enjoyed about this was the romance was great, and he is the epitome of if he wanted to he would. Honestly, he is probably one of my favorite male like romantic interests in any of the books that I've ever read. He wasn't just doing the bare minimum, which is usually like in romance books I feel like we're swooning over men doing the bare minimum. And yeah, I feel like Abby Jimenez just writes really good characters, and this has been a gateway because I am about to blow through the rest of her books. Next up, we have one that's not quite a romance, but more a perfect beach setting. It is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, if you are an eldest daughter, older sister, or just, you love sibling dynamics, I could literally go on and on about how much I love reading about sibling dynamics and how the order of birth seems to dictate your role and your personality and just everything. Recommend this one. Of course, we've got like the main character, but each sibling gets their own share of like, I don't know, like the limelight, and we all get a fleshed out version of each of them. But the main character here is Nina, and she is, so this is based in the 80s, by the way, so the vibes are like proper surfer, Malibu, like it's giving free spirit, it's giving bohemian. But we follow Nina Riva, whose dad, if you have read any of TJR's other books, is Mick Riva? Yeah, he was one of Evelyn Hugo's husband. It's all like interconnected because Carrie Soto then like makes a cameo in this. Like, I don't know. But for this one specifically, this is not a romance book. This is a book about siblings and family and the, family drama, honestly, and rich people drama. Next up is still very much summer kind of background, but not quite the beach, because I feel like those two are like very beachy. But this is Summer Camp. Do not let this cutesy cover fool you. This book is spicy as hell. If you've read Icebreaker, then you know that these books, they don't match the cover. These are not for kids, okay? Over 18s only. I found this one so cute because of the relationship that they had. Russ is a good boy. And Aurora is also a good girl. And they're both just really good and kind of going together, which is so nice because often you get people who are quite toxic, and that's like the drama of it all. Whereas for them, it's quite easygoing. It's just like a fun little read. There are a lot of spicy scenes in it, which I don't think was like important to the plot. So oftentimes if I feel like I don't really want to read through it, I'll just skip, I'll just skip. And it didn't really take away from the book, in my opinion, and I still really enjoyed it. So if you want like a fun summer camp, like, it's very college based because they are college kids from the Maple Hills series, so frontal lobe's not forming yet, and sometimes there's something about that naivety and just, you know, just being young and in love. This book really just captured that. Also, just horny little college kids, honestly. Okay, and then the last two books, I'm putting them together because they are both by my favorite romance author, and it is Emily Henry. Honestly, I will read anything that lady writes, including her grocery list. But the first one we've got here is her very first book, and that is You and Me on Vacation. And this is a Friends to Lovers done right. If you know me, you know I am not a Friends to Lovers girl. I often find them super boring. But this one had me hooked. This one was just in true Emily Henry style, just so believable and just gave you all the giddy feelings that a romance should give you. And I really enjoyed the dual timeline because we follow Poppy and Alex, who meet in college, and basically they make a pact to go on a friend holiday every year, just the two of them. So you kind of catch up with them because every single like timeline jumps from like summer to summer. So when you kind of catch up with them for the following trip, it talks about, you know, what they've been up to. So you've kind of got that past timeline, but you've also got the present timeline, and then they kind of end up meeting in the middle, and something happens that stops the two of them from kind of being friends, and there's a little bit of miscommunication there, and, you know, it kind of just talks about how they get back into each other's lives and whether they want to stay as friends or if they want to actually make it into something more. And then last but not least, we have Beach Read. This is perfect because not only is it based in a small town, they spend the summer just like dilly-dallying, doing like side quests, that kind of stuff. And this just felt like, do you remember when you're like younger and you had school and then the summer holidays was just like you and your friends running around? I feel like that's what January and Gus were doing, and I was obsessed with it. Basically, January and Gus are both writers, and they find themselves vacationing / staying in like houses in this like little town right next door to each other. They're both in a bit of a writing rut and also kind of like a life rut, and basically they form a pact to help each other get out of this rut and in the process get to know each other. And what I really liked about this was it didn't feel insta-lovey, it didn't feel lustful. It felt like they really formed a friendship to start with and then built up from that foundation, and I really enjoyed that. For someone who's not a Friends to Lovers girl, I literally just gave you two Friends to Lovers-ish recommendations. So those are the 5 books that I will be recommending for you guys to read this summer, as well as the 5 books that I myself would love to be reading this summer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a little bit of a change of scenery. Also, look at my strawberry pot with the little strawberry kind of just growing on there. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.